This is what it cost to build the first trillion-dollar company. This is what it cost to build a scam. Today we're ranking startups by their price tag, from the ones started with pocket change that are now worth trillions, to the ones that burned millions and ended in fraud. In late November 2013, when people thought crypto was being taken far too seriously, they might have been right, a guy named Jackson Palmer, a couple of beers in, joked on Twitter that Dogecoin was obviously the next big thing. People laughed, so he bought the domain and put a Shiba Inu on it. Then, a stranger named Billy Marcus, a man he had never met or even seen, reached out and said he thought it would be funny to make the actual Dogecoin. The coding took a few hours. Dogecoin is a fork of Lucky Coin, which was itself a fork of Litecoin. Total capital, one domain name. It launched officially on December 6, 2013. Its face, Kabosu, the Shiba Inu from the original meme. Almost immediately, a man calling himself Alex Green showed up as the community's biggest cheerleader, bought the main exchange, and performed a trick where 3,700 Bitcoin vanished from other people's wallets and reappeared in his own. Magic that later earned him fraud and money laundering charges. By 2015, both founders were gone. Marcus sold his entire crypto portfolio for about the price of a used Honda Civic and spent it on rent, while Palmer gave his coins away and later called crypto inherently right-wing, hyper-capitalistic technology. Then Elon Musk tweeted 5 words about it, and the joke they'd walked away from peaked at $85 billion. S tier. One guy sold his Volkswagen bus, and his friend sold his HP 65 calculator to start a computer company. Their names were Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, 21 and 25 years old, no money, no office, one working prototype. By some miracle, a shop owner named Paul Terrell of the Byte Shop ordered 50 machines from them at $500 each. $25,000, cash on delivery, nothing up front. To fill that order, Apple had to go about $15,000 into debt for parts, betting on a retailer known for not paying its bills. That was enough for the third co-founder, Ron Wayne, no relation to Bruce Wayne. He sold his 10% back for $800 after 12 days, and later took another $1,500 to give up any future claim. His reasoning? Jobs and Woz didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. I, on the other hand, had a house and a car and a bank account, which meant I was the one on the hook if the thing blew up. 10% of Apple today would be worth north of $400 billion. Yes, that math ignores 50 years of dilution. No, knowing that would not have made him feel better. Anyway, here's how that $15,000 debt worked. Jobs took the Byte Shop purchase order to Kramer Electronics, a national parts distributor, and ordered the components. The credit manager asked how exactly he planned to pay. Jobs' pitch, more or less, give me the parts on 30 days credit, I'll build the computers, deliver them, collect cash from Terrell, and pay you before the bill comes due. The credit manager phoned Terrell, who was at a conference in Pacific Grove, and confirmed the order was real. It worked. For the record, this was Plan C. A bank had already turned Jobs down, and another parts store had refused to take Apple equity instead of cash. Terrell's own summary. That was the seed capital to start Apple. The first money into Apple came from a customer, not an investor. A year later, Mike Markula put in $92,000 of his own money and personally guaranteed a credit line of up to $250,000 at Bank of America. That money built the Apple II, and it's the reason Apple incorporated at all, so Markula could take a real stake. Apple II sales went from $7.8 million in 1978 to $117 million in 1980, the year the company went public. Solid B tier. Kevin Systrom graduated from Stanford, interned at Odeo, where he met Jack Dorsey, no relation to Dorsia, the restaurant, then spent 2 years at Google before joining a travel startup called Nextstop. In late 2009, he started building a side project on nights and weekends, an app called Bourbon, named after bourbon. It let users check into locations, post plans, earn points for hanging out with friends, and share photos. He raised $500,000 on it, brought in a co-founder, Mike Krieger, and then they had to admit Bourbon didn't work. Instead of giving up, they dug through the usage data to see what people actually did in the app. The answer? Photos. The check-ins and the points were being ignored. So they deleted everything except photos, comments, and likes, and rebuilt from there. The rebuilt app came down to 3 things. Square photos, 640 by 640 pixels, sized to fit an iPhone screen. Filters, because raw phone photos looked bad. Systrom wrote the first one, X Pro 2, after his girlfriend said she didn't want to post her photos because they didn't look as good as a friend's. The friend, it turned out, was running everything through filter apps. And speed. Photos started uploading in the background while you typed the caption, and posting took 3 taps. One more change. The app was now called Instagram. The rebuild took 8 weeks. It launched on October 6, 2010, iOS only. The servers crashed within 2 hours. 25,000 people signed up on day 1. 100,000 in the first week, 1 million within 10 weeks, a number Twitter had needed about 2 years to reach, and even Facebook took 10 months. In February 2011, they raised a $7 million Series A led by Benchmark at roughly a $25 million valuation and kept the team deliberately tiny. Twitter reportedly offered around $500 million in stock. Systrom said no. In early April 2012, Instagram launched on Android and passed 1 million downloads on day 1. Days later, Facebook negotiated the acquisition over a single weekend and announced it on April 9, 2012. About $1 billion. $300 million in cash, the rest in stock. At that point, Instagram had 13 employees, around 30 million users, and no revenue at all. C tier. Doug Evans founded Juicero in 2013 in, you guessed it, San Francisco. Before that, he'd co-founded a New York juice bar chain called Organic Avenue, which went bankrupt in 2015. He'd already been pushed out by then. Remember this pattern, it comes back. His pitch to investors was an explicit Apple comparison. I'm going to do what Steve did. I'm going to take the mainframe computer and create a personal computer. I'm going to take a mainframe juice press, and I'm going to create a personal juice press. Sounds great. Here's $120 million. The product was a Wi-Fi connected cold press juicer. You bought the machine, then subscribed to proprietary packs of pre-chopped fruit and vegetables at $5 to $8 each. The machine was engineered to an absurd standard, 4 tons of press force. Enough, the founder said, to lift 2 Teslas, and roughly 400 custom parts, including a scanner, a microprocessor, and a wireless antenna. Please don't ask why any of that is required to squeeze juice. Because here's the thing. Juicero was mediocre at juicing fruit, but excellent at juicing customers. The Wi-Fi existed so the machine could scan a QR code on each pack, check it against a server, and refuse to press packs that were expired, or, God forbid, not made by Juicero. Copy protection. For vegetables. The packs expired in about 8 days, and an app sent you reminders to drink your juice before it went off. The money came from Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, Campbell Soup's venture arm, and NBA star Carmelo Anthony's fund. After a Series B in 2016, the company was valued somewhere between $270 and $500 million, depending on who was counting. It launched in March 2016 at $699 per machine. It was a disaster. Sales were so bad, the price was cut to $399. Revenue was estimated at under $1 million a year, against monthly losses of more than $4 million. Then, in April 2017, Bloomberg reporters ran the experiment that became the final nail in Juicero's coffin. They squeezed the packs with their bare hands and got about the same amount of juice, slightly faster. The 4-ton, 400-part, Wi-Fi-enabled machine did nothing a pair of hands couldn't. Asked to respond, investor Doug Chertok said, "There is no doubt the packs can be squeezed without the machine. I'm still a huge fan." Evans had already been replaced as CEO by a former Coca-Cola executive. Told you the pattern comes back. Juicero shut down on September 1st, 2017, 16 months after launch, offering refunds for 90 days. It had sold over 1 million produce packs. Solid B. Elizabeth Holmes founded Theranos in 2003 at 19 and dropped out of Stanford the next year to run it. The idea was good and simple. Run hundreds of blood tests from a single finger prick instead of vials drawn from a vein. Investors loved it. $6 million raised by the end of 2004, roughly $945 million over the company's life. She assembled a board of former U.S. officials. Henry Kissinger, George Shultz, James Mattis, described at the time as one of the most illustrious in American corporate history. She wore black turtlenecks in homage to Steve Jobs and spoke in an unusually deep voice. By 2014, the company was valued at $9 billion, and Forbes named her the world's youngest self-made female billionaire, a stake worth $4.5 billion at age 30. The device was called the Edison, after Thomas Edison's line about finding 10,000 ways that don't work. It could run about a dozen types of tests, and those unreliably. Everything else ran on commercial Siemens analyzers, the same machines found in any ordinary lab, kept upstairs in a section of the lab employees called Jurassic Park, because Holmes & Company president Sunny Balwani insisted these dinosaurs would soon be extinct. The Edisons lived downstairs, in a section called Normandy. Blood samples were diluted to fit the commercial machines, which made the results worse. The technology reached real patients. In 2012, Safeway spent $350 million retrofitting 800 stores with clinics for tests that never arrived. The deal died in 2015. Walgreens actually went live. From 2013, Theranos wellness centers in more than 40 stores, mostly in Arizona, where ordinary customers walked in and made health decisions based on the results. In October 2015, Wall Street Journal reporter John Carreyrou published what former employees had told him, among them Tyler Shultz, grandson of board member George Shultz. Theranos denied everything and threatened both the reporter and the whistleblower with lawsuits. In January 2016, regulators found the lab posed immediate jeopardy to patient health. The company voided 2 years of test results. Walgreens pulled out and sued for $140 million. The $9 billion valuation went to zero. In January 2022, a jury convicted Holmes on 4 counts of defrauding investors, involving over $140 million in wire transfers. She was acquitted on all patient-related charges. 11 years and 3 months. Balwani, her partner in business and in life, was convicted separately. 12 years and 11 months. Obviously S tier.